All right, so like, have you ever watched a movie and thought, dude, what the actual, like the characters are making choices so dumb, so mind-bogglingly idiotic that it like hurts your brain a little.
Oh, absolutely. It's like witnessing a mass extinction of common sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just one character, right? It's like the whole damn universe conspires to make the plot happen, even if it means everyone involved has to suddenly develop a severe allergy to logic.
It's a beautiful symphony of stupidity, a carefully orchestrated ballet of bad decisions.
And we're talking about the idiot plot, my friend. Not calling you an idiot, of course, unless, well, let's not go there.
Right. This is purely academic. We're all intellectuals here dissecting the finer points of narrative dysfunction.
So Wikipedia, the oracle of all knowledge, tells us that an idiot plot is basically a story that only exists because the characters conveniently forget how to think. Like if they just used their words or like looked at the giant neon sign flashing danger above the trapdoor, the whole story would just like evaporate.
Poof, gone. Just a faint wisp of what could have been.
Exactly. But instead we get this glorious train wreck of misunderstandings, coincidences, and decisions that would make a 5-year-old facepalm.
It's a genre unto itself, a celebration of the triumph of plot over plausibility.
And like the thing is, it's been around forever. I mean, Shakespeare was a master of the idiot plot, right?
Yep.
Think about the comedy of errors, twins separated at birth. Everyone's running around like chickens with their heads cut off, mistaking one dude for another. Pure comedic gold.
Oh, absolutely. Mistaken identity. It's like the bread and butter of the idiot plot. It's so simple, yet so effective. You just need a couple of doppelgangers, a healthy dose of obliviousness, and boom, you've got yourself a recipe for comedic chaos.
It's like, dude, just look at each other. You're literally identical twins. How can you not tell yourselves apart?
Because logic has left the building, my friend. Logic is sipping margaritas on a beach somewhere while these characters are stuck in a land where common sense is about as rare as a unicorn riding a roller coaster.
Right. And it's not just Shakespeare. I mean, think about all those classic rom-coms where the whole plot hinges on some ridiculous misunderstanding that could be cleared up with like one 5-minute conversation. Like Top Hat, for example.
Oh, Top Hat. A masterpiece of mistaken identities and tap dancing. It's like the writers took a whole bottle of forget what your best friend's husband looks like pills before penning that script.
Seriously. Like, how does Ginger Rogers' character not know who her best friend's husband is? They're like besties. They probably like went bra shopping together and gossiped about guys over Cosmos, and then she just like magically forgets his face.
Because the plot demands it, my friend. The plot is a hungry beast and it feasts on logic and reason.
Right. And like, let's not forget about sci-fi. Star Trek, man. Star Trek is like a breeding ground for idiot plots.
So absolutely. Those red-shirted ensigns are practically lining up to be victims of the idiot plot. It's like their job description includes a clause that says, must be willing to sacrifice common sense for the sake of narrative tension.
And Picard, man. Picard. He's supposed to be this brilliant strategist, this wise leader, and then he just like waltzes into obvious traps and gets captured by like space pirates with bad dental hygiene.
It's a classic case of the hero's intelligence being inversely proportional to the threat level. The more dangerous the situation, the dumber the hero becomes.
Like, dude, you're Captain Jean-Luc Picard. You've stared down Romulans and outwitted Q, and you can't figure out that beaming down to a planet with a giant skull and crossbones flag might be a bad idea.
Because the idiot plot demands a sacrifice, my friend. And sometimes that sacrifice is the hero's IQ points.
All right, so we've established that the idiot plot is a thing, right? It's been around forever. It's in everything from Shakespeare to Star Trek, and it basically thrives on the character's inability to think straight.
Yeah.
But like, where did this term even come from? Who decided to label this beautiful mess of narrative absurdity?
Well, the term idiot plot can be traced back to the science fiction writer Damon Knight. He was like the OG critic of all things illogical in fiction. Back in the 50s, he basically dropped this truth bomb on the literary world saying, hey, some of these stories only work because everyone involved is acting like they just inhaled a whole tank of laughing gas.
Dude, Damon Knight, what a legend.
Yeah.
Calling out the BS, no sugarcoating. I bet he had a killer side eye for those plot holes you could drive a spaceship through.
Oh, absolutely. He even went a step further and coined the term second-order idiot plot, which is basically like idiot plot on steroids. It's not just the main characters who are clueless, but the entire world they inhabit seems to be running on fumes.
Whoa. Second-order idiot plot.
Yeah.
That's like next-level stupidity. It's like, imagine a town where the mayor's a goldfish, the police chief is a mime, and the only doctor is a guy who thinks leeches are the cure for everything.
Exactly. It's a world where common sense is an endangered species and logic has gone into witness protection.
And yet, these stories, they still work, right? Like, we still get sucked in, we still laugh, we still root for the characters, even though they're making decisions that would make a potato face palm. Why is that, man?
Yeah.
Why do we love watching these beautiful disasters unfold?
Well, for one, there's the pure entertainment value. Like, let's be honest, watching people trip over their own feet, metaphorically speaking, can be pretty damn funny. It's like a cosmic slapstick routine.
Totally. It's like in real life, everything's so serious, right?
Oh, yeah.
Taxes, bills, that weird stain on the carpet you can't quite identify. But in these stories, the rules of reality get bent, and we get to just let go and enjoy the ride.
It's a form of escapism, a temporary vacation from the tyranny of logic.
And maybe, just maybe, there's something deeper going on too, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not just about the laughs. Maybe there's a part of us that like identifies with these characters, these glorious messes of human fallibility.
Now you're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
The psychological underbelly of the idiot plot.
Hit me with it, man. What you got?
Well, think about it. We as humans are constantly bombarded with information. News, social media, those annoying spam emails about male enhancement that somehow always end up in your inbox. It's like our brains are being marinated in data 24/7.
Dude, tell me about it. My brain feels like a popcorn kernel that's been in the microwave for too long.
Right, so maybe these idiot plots with their simplified conflicts and easy-to-follow resolutions offer us a kind of cognitive break. It's like a mental detox from the complexities of the real world.
It's like, in real life, problems are these tangled messes of like political agendas and economic disparities and existential dread. But in these stories, it's just like, oh, there's a misunderstanding. Let's just all pretend we're blind and deaf and hope it goes away.
Yeah.
Simple, clean, absurd.
Exactly. And maybe there's a bit of wish fulfillment going on too. Like deep down, we all kind of wish life were a little more straightforward, right? A little less messy, a little less, real.
Dude, you're reading my mind. Like sometimes I just want to snap my fingers and make all my problems disappear. Poof. Student loans gone. Poof. Global warming solved. Poof. Everyone suddenly develops a deep and abiding love for polka music.
The world would certainly be a more interesting place with universal polka appreciation.
Right, but like in the real world, solutions are never that easy. So we turn to these idiot plots to give us a taste of that fantasy, that world where logic takes a back seat and everything magically works out in the end.
It's like a temporary suspension of disbelief on a grand scale, a collective agreement to embrace the absurd.
And like, you know who else picked up on this whole idiot plot thing? Roger Ebert, the movie critic, dude.
Ebert was all over this. He saw the idiot plot as this pervasive force in cinema, this tendency for filmmakers to sacrifice logic and reason for the sake of, well, whatever the hell they were trying to achieve.
He was like the idiot plot whisperer.
Yeah.
He could spot a nonsensical plot twist from a mile away.
And he had this great line about how most idiot plots could be resolved with one line of sensible dialogue. Like if the characters just stopped for a second and actually talked to each other, the whole house of cards would come tumbling down.
Right. It's like the writers are deliberately putting these invisible gags on the characters, preventing them from saying the one thing that would solve the whole damn problem. Like, hey, before we accuse each other of murder and run off to elope in Vegas, maybe we should just like compare notes and realize we're both being played by the evil twin we didn't know we had.
Exactly. But of course that wouldn't be very entertaining, would it? Where's the drama, the suspense, the sheer absurdity of it all?
It's like we need the characters to be idiots, at least to some degree, to keep the story rolling. Otherwise, it's just like a bunch of well-adjusted adults sitting around drinking tea and having rational conversations.
Boring. And that, my friend, brings us to another fascinating point. This idea that stories often have to sideline competent help to keep the protagonist in danger. This was a point made by David Brin, another sci-fi writer, who clearly had a thing for dissecting the mechanics of storytelling.
Sideline competent help.
Yeah.
Like the universe is conspiring to make sure the hero doesn't have any backup.
Exactly. It's like the more skilled the villains are, the less help the hero can get. Otherwise, the story would be over in 5 minutes.
So like Batman can have his cool gadgets and his brooding personality, but God forbid he actually has a functioning police force in Gotham City. That would just ruin all the fun.
Precisely. It's like the world has to be populated with incompetent bystanders and conveniently absent allies,
Right.
just to keep the plot moving forward.
Dude, that's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just talking about individual characters making dumb decisions. We're talking about the whole narrative structure bending over backwards to accommodate idiocy.
It's a beautiful tapestry of stupidity woven together by the invisible hand of the plot gods.
And like, where does that leave us? Are we like living in an idiot plot right now? Is reality just one giant cosmic joke orchestrated by some bored deity with a twisted sense of humor?
Whoa, let's not get too existential here. My brain is already feeling like a melted Rubik's Cube.
Okay, fair enough. But seriously though, this whole idiot plot thing, it's like a rabbit hole, man. You start digging and you never know what you're gonna find. Maybe it's just pure entertainment. Maybe it's a reflection of our own inner demons. Maybe it's a sign that the universe is secretly run by a committee of squirrels on caffeine. Who knows?
The mystery continues, my friend. But I think it's time for us to take a little break, let our brains reboot, and then come back to tackle the final frontier of the idiot plot.
All right, time for a mental pit stop. Refuel the neurons, recalibrate the sarcasm detectors, and then we'll be back to unravel the final layer of this delicious onion of absurdity. All right, so we've been spelunking through the dusty catacombs of the idiot plot, right? Examining these narrative skeletons, these stories held together by duct tape and wishful thinking.
It's like watching a bunch of highly trained surgeons try to perform open-heart surgery with sporks, you know? The ambition is there, but the tools are just woefully inadequate.
And yet somehow we're still entertained. We still get sucked into these worlds where logic takes a backseat to the whims of the plot gods. Why is that, man? What is it about the idiot plot that keeps us coming back for more?
Well, on one level, it's the pure, unadulterated joy of watching things go hilariously wrong. It's like a cosmic version of America's Funniest Home Videos, but instead of people slipping on banana peels, it's characters tripping over their own monumental stupidity.
It's like in real life, we're constantly bombarded with bad news, right? Wars, famines, political scandals that make your brain want to melt out of your ears.
But in these stories, the worst that can happen is like someone gets mistaken for a long-lost twin or accidentally launches a nuclear warhead because they thought the big red button was for ordering pizza.
It's a form of escapism.
A temporary reprieve from the crushing weight of reality. We get to laugh at the characters' misfortunes knowing that, hey, at least it's not happening to us.
And maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of schadenfreude mixed in there too, right? Like a tiny little voice in the back of our heads whispering, "Thank God I'm not that dumb."
Oh, absolutely. Schadenfreude is the secret sauce of the idiot plot. It's what gives it that extra kick, that sense of guilty pleasure.
But there's got to be more to it than that, right? I mean, we're not just mindless consumers of absurdity. There's got to be some deeper reason why we're drawn to these stories, why we find them so compelling. So, dare I say it, meaningful?
Now you're talking. The idiot plot isn't just about laughs and schadenfreude. It's a reflection of our own humanity, our own anxieties, our own capacity for spectacularly bad decisions.
Dude, that's deep, like Mariana Trench, deep. Are you saying that we're all just idiots and waiting just one bad decision away from starring in our own personal idiot plot?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I do think there's something to be said for the idea that the idiot plot taps into our own fears and insecurities. We see ourselves in these characters, these flawed, fallible beings who are just trying to navigate a world that often seems nonsensical and absurd.
It's like in real life, we're constantly second-guessing ourselves, right? Like, did I make the right decision? Should I have said that? Why did I eat that whole bag of Cheetos?
In these stories, these idiot plots, they offer us a kind of catharsis. We get to see characters make even worse decisions than we ever could, and somehow they survive, they stumble, they fall, they make a complete and utter mess of things, but they keep going.
It's like a twisted version of self-help, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if those idiots can make it through that, then maybe I can handle this existential crisis I'm having over which brand of toothpaste to buy.
Exactly. The idiot plot is a reminder that we're all in this together, that even the smartest among us can have moments of spectacularly bad judgment.
And maybe, just maybe, by embracing the absurdity, by acknowledging our own capacity for idiocy, we can learn to be a little more forgiving of ourselves and others.
Now you're really getting it. The idiot plot isn't just a narrative device, it's a philosophical stance. It's a way of looking at the world and saying, hey, things are messy, people are flawed, and sometimes the only way to get through it is to laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. It's like the idiot plot is the ultimate form of existential rebellion. It's a middle finger to the forces of logic and reason, a declaration that, hey, sometimes it's okay to just let go and embrace the chaos.
And maybe, just maybe, by embracing the chaos, we can find a little bit of beauty, a little bit of truth, and a whole lot of laughs along the way.
Well, folks, there you have it. The idiot plot. It's a genre. It's a philosophy. It's a reflection of our own flawed humanity. It's a reminder that even when things seem hopelessly messed up, there's always a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption, and a whole lot of comedic potential.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the twisted landscape of the idiot plot. We hope you've learned something, laughed a little, and maybe even questioned your own sanity along the way.
And remember, the next time you're watching a movie and the characters are making decisions that make you want to scream, take a deep breath, embrace the absurdity, and remember, it's just an idiot plot.
Until next time, keep your brains sharp, your sense of humor intact, and your tolerance for stupidity high.